Okay. Phew, Diamond's Log Arctic 2015-1-10. I was starting to ramble there at the end of that reading, and I wanted to I'll come up with the title of this later. But I kind of got off on the thought of everybody has their part to play. Everybody has a mission. And some people are kind of adrift, and they don't really have an anchor, and they don't really know where they're going, and they don't really know what they should be doing. Okay. But to a lot of people who have enough structure in their life and have enough maturity, they have a good sense of where they should be. Now, some people are definitely floundering. I mean, there's no question about that. So I have been trying to give direction to a lot of people. I've been trying to give some solid thinking to a lot of people. And with all that being said, I do hope that a lot of people will listen. I've tried to, have a few rounds, a couple go-arounds with survivalists, one of the popes of the survivalist movement, author, speaker, up there in, we only have X number of people per square mile in my county type of situation. In the readout stage, whoopee. Anyway, there's somebody that a lot of leaders, as I've said before, are not capable of leading correctly. They're leading, no question. I say it's like they've been, the Peter Principle. There's a book written way back when, Peter Drucker, I think, promoted to their level of incompetence, or promoted themselves to their level of incompetence. I'm not going to go into that anymore. What I want to speak to is the people who pretty well know where they're at, know what they're doing, and people who are in position of authority, i.e., in the military, men who are now or will be officers, people in uniform, whether fire services, EMT, policemen, etc., people who are in government positions, people who are in position of authority in organizations, churches, and a lot of these people are unfortunately pretty hopeless. They're pretty messed up, and they don't know what's going on. They don't have a clue of what's going to happen, and that's very sad. They should spend some time looking at world events and looking at the news and assessing it, etc. But okay, what's really on my heart to say is, for those of you who are in position of authority in military, police, and whatnot, you're going to do, anybody that's in a position where you are doing something that you have been given to do in life. You are trained, you are knowledgeable, you know what you are doing in your field of expertise, and you're going to continue to do that in your field of expertise. Okay? Given that scenario, and you may, I'm just speaking this out there. I'm speaking this out to the universe. I'm speaking this out. In fact, I need to do speakings, benedictions. So I am speaking. You may never read this, but I'm still speaking to you. You may never hear my name, but I'm speaking to you. So for those of you who at some given point in the future are going to end up being in a crisis situation, again, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years down the road, I don't know, but it's going to happen. As clear as, as sure of that as the sun's going to come up tomorrow. So, given that scenario, at some point in time, a crisis time in this country, you're going to do what you have been created to do, what you have been gifted to do, what you have been trained to do, led to do, however you want to phrase that, and whatever adjective fits that situation. Do what you're going to do. What's the safest place for you? There's a saying, the safest place for you is the center of God's will. I believe that. The Daniel's three friends, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, or Azariah, Hananiah, and Mishael, would not have been, in my estimation, would not have been safer outside of the furnace. Okay? They made it through the furnace. A fourth man, like the Son of Man, showed up, and they were not singed. So, there's going to be a lot of people protected through some pretty awesome times, and they will have the power of God and the Scriptures on their side and protecting them and shielding them. So, it's happened before, it's going to happen again, it's going to happen a lot. So, now, go back to my thing here, giving people in authority, and I'm just going to say this, military. There are those of you out there who are are right now actively patrolling and protecting our border, especially the southern border. Not too many people worrying about the northern border yet, but that may come too late. So, you're going to do what you've been given to do, what you're trained to do, what you're aware of to do. Now, it would be nice if this message could go out and just be transmitted supernaturally via angels, messengers, angelos, the Greek word angelos. It looks like two G's, but when there's two G's, one's an N, the first one's an N, angelos, are messengers. And I would like to, just as Bo Greitz said, at the end of the day, thousands and millions of angels, sign in, reporting for duty, sir. What'd you do today? Nothing. Why not? Nobody gave me anything to do. Sitting around twiddling my thumbs, in so many words. So, I want to give some angels something to do. Send out, the message to direct people the right place to go, the right place to be, protect them. When they need water, give them water. When they need shelter, give them shelter, whether that's an overhang or underneath a large tree, or have a piece of rag and build a snow cave out of an igloo, out of a parachute, and throw branches, stuff it with branches, and throw the chute over it, cloth, sheet, whatever. Pack snow on it, it hardens, pull the branches out, you have a snow cave. But whatever, water, food, sustenance, protection. And as things change across this country, some things are going to come into play. One of them is the geological construction of this continental United States. It's going to change. So there is one large, single, solitary, central place that as things start changing and as things start morphing, metamorphosing, breaking down, there's one direction to head. If you're in the east, head west. If you're in the west, head east. If you're in the north, head south. If you're in the south, head north. Okay? Now, trolls on groups, forums I've been on, are just, it always amazes me that, when somebody shows up and they're an obviously troll, whatever you want to call them, a paid shill, or whatever you want to call them. Two things mark them out. One of the primary things is stupidity. You would have to be paid to act that stupid, to pretend you're that stupid. I've run across them time and time again. Anyway, they can ruin groups real quick, and have. So, here's the point I'm making, though, is that, this is a very large area. If the entire remnant of the United States, who knows how many people could be or would be considered by God decent people. How do you, we are human beings. We are frail. We are finite. We are, fallen. Frail, finite, and fallen. And I could use another F word. But Yeah, there's no way to tell that. But you look at the number of people that started the American Revolution, brought us through the American Revolution. You're looking at about 3%. It takes 3% activists. So take your old, take that figure and just run with that. Okay, and you've got, you got, what is it, like 500 million people in this country, right? So, you take that and you take that, let's say 5%, you're talking, what is that, 25 million. So, as I've said before, a friend of mine, Brother Thomas, says, Brother Jerry, I believe that the Father's going to give us a tithe. Well, tithe of what? There are scriptures that say, if a tithe was left, if the remnant was a tithe, so let's say that's a tithe, then 50 million. And this region is capable of taking that number of people in, a total. So anyway, point being is it's a big area. It's 6 times larger than the major occupied territory of Switzerland. Switzerland is about 16 million. You look at my strategic assessment article. It's 8. I'm not going to go into it right now. Look it up. Tired, fuzzy, but Ozark Plateau is about 6 to 10 times larger than the Swiss Plateau. So, based on the population density there and the capability, this is like got 100 times more capability for growing food nationwide. Nationally, Swiss national, because most of it's Alps. We could support a lot denser population. So, anyway, point being is, you're out there, and there's only 29 people on here for subscribers. Thank you all. I mean, if you're actually listening, there might be 3 of you only listening to me babble. But, so I'm not even talking to just those 29 people. I ask for prayer. I ask for, spread the word, get these out there. I have one I'm going to do, and I need to figure out how to make this, to show the screen. I can take this camera here and, there you go. There's there's an infinity of, that weird or what? Anyway, that's my webcam deal, but, I can blow that up. There's my text, but I put that into an email. I can make that big screen, and if I knew how to stabilize this, you could read along with me. I don't know how to do a screen capture. I don't know if I need different software. Anyway, my point being is, going back to the old, I'm learning. I'm trying to do closed captioning. Good grief, there's so much stuff to learn. Unfortunately, I'm a Techno Tart, doing what I can with zero help. 0.000 help. And that gets tiring, really tiring. Anyway, sorry. Point being that I'm going to keep doing it. So, anyway, prayers appreciated, help, advice, whatever. We're going to have some really awesome things happen, a lot of pretty amazing things. And, but going back to the, I want to just speak out to military personnel. Just a message can be taken by angels. I don't need to do this through YouTube. I can just do it through the Spirit of God and angels. So you're going to be protecting the borders. You're going to be withdrawing. You're not going to be able to withstand the onslaught. Again, sometime down the road, you're going to be doing a fighting withdrawal. It's going to be basically a forlorn hope. some cases utterly hopeless. And you may be your destiny to protect a certain bridge or to blow a certain bridge. It may be your destiny to hold a church building because of the wounded inside. It may be your destiny to, keep a hospital functioning. It may be your destiny to, your calling to, take care of free people from a holding camp. So anyway, whatever that is, may God protect you and be with you and bless you and provide what you need. But as you do all these things, the message is your fighting withdrawal is going to be toward the Ozark Plateau. You're looking at about a 13 to 1500 mile perimeter of rivers. Crossings are going to be few and far between. I just read a thing in the news. The FBI has warned that IS, the Islamic State, plans to blow up the Memphis Bridge over the Mississippi. Well, hello. Those things are going to happen. Some of them may be by terrorists, quote unquote, and some of them may be by our own special forces, because that's just what they do. That's how they're trained, and that's how they're, geared to be able to function. And we do have special forces in this country who are not going to play ball with the powers that be. They may not actively oppose. They may go about their business with a shrug, Atlas shrugged, defect in place, who knows. They may have other plans. But anyway, the rally point in military jargon would be, this is, it's the Ozark Plateau, the final retreat, last stand. That's what I'm saying, And, however, whatever that works out is the way it's going to work out. I can't foresee any details at all, other than knowing what I have been given to know and given to see, and it's a big picture. It is a big picture. You've got issues with the Mississippi River Valley. You've got issues with the New Madrid fault seismic zone, not fault line. There's a fault line running virtually across the United States. That's what somebody told me. And actually the Craton Edge, I think if you follow that, where all the earthquakes that since points us out, you could, like I said, you can give a map of the earthquakes in the continental United States and tell a kindergartner to connect the dots, and they would draw the Craton Edge. So one guy wrote me immediately after I posted that one article and told me that exactly where that line is. He lived there in Oklahoma, and there is a 75-foot absolutely sheer vertical slip line. And he said that must have been one hell of an earthquake when that happened. 75-foot sheer break line. So, that could pop. A lot of things could happen. San Andreas Fault. I guess there's a movie coming out on that one. I don't remember who's in it, but obviously not anybody that I, was too impressed with. But, who was it? I don't remember. Anyway, I just saw it once. Coming out in 2015, if it doesn't happen first, So, west of the Rockies, bad news, people. Anywhere on the Continental Divide, near the Continental Divide, seriously bad news. I'm telling you. That's a fault line. That's what the Rockies are, is a major freaking fault line where they were pushed up, as were the Appalachians. The Appalachians are the eastern edge of the Laurentian Craton, named after the St. Lawrence River. North American Craton, call it that. That's what I normally do. So the North American Craton is a gigantic arc. It goes from about mid-Texas up to Greenland. goes right actually by Iceland. Iceland's on the edge of it, as is Yellowstone. Iceland is basically one gigantic volcano. I mean, there's 50 volcanoes and whatever, and they can all blow at the same time. Japan is blowing and blowing and blowing volcanoes, one right after the other. Hawaii is blowing. There's a new island forming. Things are about to cut loose. Literally, hello, knock knock. Anybody home, McFly? Some things are going to happen. There's an article that I posted before on by EMERCOM, the Emergency Continuity Services, whatever the heck of Russia. But the article is source fail, source whatever. But every link on every one of those articles that they have ever posted have been hot, live, and accurate, and their interpretation may be different or may be weird, but the links are always 100% correct. So, how they interpret them is another story. I'm not saying I agree with everything they say, or I don't agree too much with it they say, but as a news source, it's a heck of a news source, okay? So, it's outside the country, outside of our mainstream media, the MSM, lamestream media. So, the article is about the United States is entering a new time of seismic instability, unknown in modern times, something we have never seen since we've started keeping history. Okay, that's what the geological evidence is saying. The Pacific Northwest is one gigantic volcano field. The crust out there is heavier than the mantle. No problems with it sinking. No problems with it breaking off. No problem with big chunks of it being flooded, being lower than sea level. Anybody, Dead Sea, yeah, Dead Sea one. How about the Mojave Desert, Death Valley? Isn't that lower than sea level? And there's some large areas of the West that are fairly low, the deserts. But anyway, that doesn't make any difference because it could just fall into the ocean. Too many of those maps, I've gone over this before, I'm not going to go into it at any length right now, but a lot of maps of the future show big, huge area of the Pacific Ocean coming right up to the Continental Divide, and I think there's a really damn good reason for that, especially when it's the new U.S. Navy map. And there's a U.S. satellite map. You can find it on, what is that, Doomsday Girl, Dooms Girl? Whatever. Look up U.S. Maps of the Future. Future USA Maps, and Dooms Girl or Doomsday Girl, something like that, has it on there. Map of the, in fact, I've got it on my desktop. I'm going to look at it real quick here. It shows new coastlines. It shows, well, shoot. I'm not going to be able to tell. No, I won't be able to do that. Probably not. Get that out of the way. No, I'm going to be able to see the camera, and yeah, it ain't too bad. Okay, so I'm going to assume that even though I can't see it, you can see it here. Here's the Appalachians and the Smokies and some of that. There's a big, it's nothing but a giant island. Okay, one big island there. This is underwater. This is underwater. Just erase that. Florida is gone. Toast history. The coast is toast. People, the coast is toast. Comes up into Georgia. You know, Florida's virtually not there at all. Georgia, some of it, yeah, a little bit of Kentucky, some of Kentucky, and it comes up in here, all the way up to the Great Lakes. There's an island here under Lake, I think that's Superior. No, Michigan. I don't know. Anyway, there's an island there, there's an island here. Okay, but all this is underwater. I'll move this over just a little bit more. There's the Ozark Plateau, and on that Standale map, part of Texas is underwater. But here's the other part of it. This whole part out here on the east coast, west coast, sorry, the left coast, is underwater all the way up to, and actually into the Rockies. Up in there. Maybe that's South Park, Colorado, I don't know. I haven't looked at that yet. Underwater. this says possible volcanic activity, and it's also somewhere on this map. It says new coastline, old coastline. It says this is based on a worst case scenario. So down here, worst case scenario. So ocean levels rising. It's based on, I think, all the here. Let's do that. Yeah. Based on the what do you call them? The glaciers melting and stuff. Maybe, maybe based on an old global warming thing, or maybe asteroids coming in. Who knows? Does it make any difference? No. Is it going to happen? Hopefully not. I don't want it to. But the more I'm reading and the more I'm seeing and the more I'm coming up with, I'm not going to bet against it, because it looks pretty likely that it is going to happen. So anyway, so for those of you out there who are in positions of authority, and especially military, police, EMT, medical, church, and I really hate to say that, but man, what a sorry bunch of people. Enough there. I mean, there's some of you awake. Let me just say this. I'm going to put this word out too, just like I did to the military. Angels. There are churches who have had the vision and the foresight to sell their entire holdings. The parishioners, the people, sell their houses and their businesses and move here to the Ozarks. At least one entire church. Dallas-Fort Worth base. And got an internet ministry, Kingdom Baptist. And the funny thing is, it just cracks me up. They're pre-mill, pre-trib, pre-trib rapture. It's so cute. And yet I went up there and met with the pastor and the man behind the Beyond Off-Grid documentary, Saltpeck Town. And pastors were walking along. We walked the land and we prayed there. And he's saying, people come here to the Ozarks and they started, they needed to eat a lot of fat and grease and, have their fat in their diet. So they started eating bears. And next thing you know, they were going crazy because the parasites in the bear meat is just like pork. And I'm like, I absolutely loved it. I mean, here is God directing a man to move his church here to the Ozarks. I mean, sell everything, lock, stock, and tomahawk. Sold their land, their properties. I don't know what they got for it, but they got enough to come out here and buy 450 acres. So they had probably 3 acres there in Fort Worth. Trade 3 acres for 450 acres. Yeah. Food, shelter, warmth, safety, good people around you. I mean, where they are, there are, for a fact, more cattle. They're probably outnumbered by cattle 2-to-1. And that's the big problem here in the Ozarks, as Galen Chadwick says. If the trucks stop rolling, if the food industry goes to pot, and everything falls apart, Missouri is nothing but a fescue desert. And we're not going to have anything to eat here except beef. Well, hey, I'm a vegetarian. I don't eat, I'm a vegetarian. I eat really high dollar, really fancy, really expensive, recycled vegetation. It's called grass-fed beef. So anyway, yep, I can think of worse things to eat than beef, so at least they won't be hot dogs and box food, garbage food, GMO crap. So anyway, church people, you need to perform a really delicate and really valuable and life-saving operation, because a lot of you are headed to hell in a handbasket. Sorry to tell you. You need to perform an operation that Bill Greitz describes in euphemistic terms. It's called you need to do a how would you call it, he says extract cranium from rectal defilade, but you need to do a rectal defilade extraction, surgical terms. You need to get to the point real quick where you hear that loud pop of your head coming out of your ass, because things are going to get brutal here. They're going to get ugly, and too many of the pastors and church ministries are going to sell people right on down the road and tell them to go to the FEMA camps. And God have mercy on your souls. Anyway. Alright. I think that's about enough. That's 30 minutes. Woo! Alright. Well, this is Jerry Diamond. And if you're listening to this, you are the remnant.